You've noticed it. She was warm, laughing at your jokes, texting you back quickly. Then something shifted. Her energy feels different. Colder, distant, less available. And if you're like most men, you're wondering if you're just overthinking it. Let me tell you something. You're not imagining it. Women do change their energy around men. It's real. But here's what most men get completely wrong about what it actually means. I'm going to tell you from a woman's perspective what's really happening in her mind when her energy shifts. Because how you respond to this in the next 48 hours will either pull her closer or push her away for good. So today, I'm going to break down exactly what these energy shifts mean, why they happen before she ever says a word, and most importantly, what you need to do when you notice them. Here's the truth from a woman's perspective. When our energy changes around you, it's not random, it's not in your head, and it's definitely not because we're trying to play games or confuse you. It's because something is happening internally that we haven't figured out how to communicate yet. Or maybe we're not ready to communicate it. Or we're testing to see how you'll react before we decide what to say. Most men see an energy shift and immediately think one of two things. Either she's losing interest, or I did something wrong. And those assumptions cause men to react in ways that actually make things worse. So in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through 6 things you need to understand about why women change their energy around men. 1. Why energy shifts happen before any conversation does. 2. The 3 hidden triggers that cause her to pull back. 3. What's actually going on in her mind during that process. 4. How to tell the difference between her protecting interest versus losing it. 5. Exactly how to respond to each type of energy shift. And 6. The deeper mindset that makes you magnetic instead of someone she pulls away from. By the end of this, you'll know how to read her energy shifts accurately, respond strategically, and stay grounded instead of spiraling. Because here's what I've learned. The men who understand this dynamic never lose sleep over a woman's change in energy. They see it for what it is and handle it like leaders. So let's start with the most important thing you need to understand. 1. Energy shifts happen before words. Here's what you need to understand. When a woman's energy changes around you, it's not because she's decided something and is now hiding it from you. It's because she's in the middle of processing her feelings and hasn't figured out what to say yet. Women process emotions internally before we verbalize them. That's just how most of us work. We feel something shift. Maybe attraction. Maybe doubt. Maybe fear. And our first instinct isn't to immediately announce it. Our first instinct is to pull back, create a little space, and figure out what we're actually feeling. So her energy shifts first. She becomes less available, less enthusiastic, less warm. And you notice it because energy is impossible to fake. You can fake words. You can fake a smile. But you can't fake the energy you bring into a conversation or the way your presence feels to someone. Here's the part most men misread. They think she's being vague or playing games or trying to confuse them. But that's not what's happening. She's not hiding her feelings. She's protecting herself while she figures them out. Because here's the truth. If she tells you what she's feeling before she even knows what she's feeling, she risks being wrong. She risks being vulnerable too soon. She risks giving you power over emotions she hasn't even sorted through yet. So instead, her energy pulls back. And she watches. She watches how you respond to the shift. Do you panic? Do you chase? Do you stay grounded? Because that response tells her something important about whether you can handle her emotional process, or whether you'll make it harder. Think about it practically. Her texts get shorter. She takes longer to reply. She's less excited to make plans. She's physically more distant when you're together. Conversations feel heavier, less natural. She's not laughing at your jokes the way she used to. None of this is her trying to send you a message. This is her buying herself time to figure out the message she's trying to send to herself. Energy is the language women speak before words. It's the first signal. And if you're paying attention to it, you're actually ahead of most men who wait for her to spell everything out. Because by the time she uses words, the energy shift has already been happening for days or even weeks. And the decision in her mind is usually already half made. So when you feel her energy change, don't wait for her to explain it. Don't demand clarity she doesn't have yet. Understand that the shift itself is the communication. She's telling you something's changed, even if she can't tell you what or why, yet. Now that you understand energy shifts come first, here's what actually triggers them. 2. The 3 hidden triggers. Now you know her energy shifts before she finds the words, but what actually causes that shift? There are 3 main triggers, and understanding which one you're dealing with changes everything. The first trigger is uncertainty about her own feelings. She liked you initially, but now she's questioning if what she feels is real or temporary. Is this actual attraction or just loneliness? Could this go somewhere, or is she wasting time? That uncertainty makes her pull back to figure it out. Her internal dialogue sounds like this. Do I actually like him, or am I just lonely? Is this attraction real, or am I forcing it? She needs distance to assess her emotions honestly, away from your influence. The second trigger is self-protection mode. This happens when she's starting to feel something real and it scares her. She's getting invested, opening up, and suddenly her instinct to protect herself kicks in. The more she feels, the more power you have to hurt her. Her internal dialogue sounds like this. I'm starting to care too much. What if I show him how I feel, and he loses interest? I need to guard myself before I get hurt. When this is the trigger, her energy withdrawal isn't rejection. It's fear of vulnerability. She's pulling back because she does care and doesn't know if it's safe yet. The third trigger is testing his frame. She pulls back to see how you'll respond. It's not always conscious, but she wants to know if you'll panic and chase or stay grounded. How you handle uncertainty tells her whether you can lead emotionally. Her internal dialogue sounds like this. If I pull back, will he fall apart? Does he need my validation to feel okay, or is he solid on his own? Your response literally determines the outcome. Pass the test by staying calm, and her respect increases. Fail by chasing desperately, and her attraction drops. Here's what matters. None of these triggers mean she's done with you. They mean she's in process, figuring something out. And what happens next depends heavily on how you respond. So now that you understand what triggers the energy shift, let me show you what's actually happening in her mind during that process. 3. Her internal emotional process. So she pulls back for one of those 3 reasons, but what's actually going on in her mind during that time? Let me walk you through the stages. Stage 1 is the shift. This is the first 24 to 48 hours. Something changed for her. Maybe she noticed something about you or about her own feelings. And her immediate response is to create space so she can think and feel without your influence. Her energy becomes cooler, less available, more guarded. She's not trying to punish you. She's buying herself time to process what just shifted. Stage 2 is internal assessment. This happens from day 2 to about day 5. Now she's analyzing. She's thinking about her feelings, your reactions, and whether this relationship has real potential. But here's the critical part. She's also watching how you respond to the energy change. Do you stay grounded, or do you panic? Do you chase her, or do you give her space? Do you become needy, or do you stay confident? Because your behavior during this window tells her whether you can handle her emotional complexity, or whether she'll have to manage both her feelings and yours. Stage 3 is decision formation. This is around day 5 to day 10. Based on what she felt and what she observed in you, she's making a decision. Her energy either starts to warm back up or it continues cooling down. And if explicit communication happens, this is usually when. But by this point, the decision in her mind is already mostly made. Your response during stage 2 heavily influenced which way it went. Here's what you need to understand. During this entire process, she is hypersensitive to your emotional state. If you stay calm and continue living your life, she respects that. It shows her you're not dependent on her validation. But if you chase, demand explanations, or show anxiety, it confirms whatever doubts triggered her pullback in the first place. Picture this. She pulls back to protect herself because she's starting to care. You notice and stay steady. You give her space but remain warm when she does reach out. That response makes her feel safer, not pressured. So her energy returns, often stronger than before. Now picture the opposite. She pulls back and you immediately start chasing, texting more, asking what's wrong. That behavior confirms her fear. She was right to protect herself because you can't handle uncertainty. So she pulls back even further. Your response during her internal process isn't just important. It's everything. Now that you understand what she's going through, here's how to tell which type of energy shift you're actually dealing with. 4. The Diagnostic Framework. Now you understand the triggers and the process. But here's what you really need. How do you tell which type of energy shift you're dealing with? Because not all energy shifts are the same, and your response needs to match the situation. Type 1 is interest protection. She's scared of catching feelings. Signs you'll notice. She pulls back after deep or vulnerable moments. Her availability becomes inconsistent. She guards personal information more carefully. Her mindset is, I'm feeling too much too fast and I need to slow this down. Prognosis. Good. She's protecting interest, not withdrawing it. This means she cares enough to be scared. Type 2 is testing dynamics. She's assessing your frame. Signs you'll notice. She creates space or distance specifically to see your reaction. She mentions other guys or suddenly becomes busy. Her mindset is, can he handle my withdrawal without becoming desperate? Prognosis. Neutral. The outcome depends entirely on your response. This is the type where you literally control what happens next. Type 3 is genuine loss of interest. She's emotionally checking out. Signs you'll notice. Consistent low energy across all interactions. Not just sometimes. No curiosity about your life. She avoids making future plans. Her mindset is, this isn't it for me. How do I exit gracefully? Prognosis. Difficult. This requires a significant pattern interrupt. And even then, the chances are low. Sometimes people just aren't a match. Type 4 is external stress overflow. It's not about you. Signs you'll notice. The energy shift correlates with obvious life stress like work, family, or personal issues. She maintains warmth when you're together in person. She apologizes for being distant. Her mindset is, I'm overwhelmed and need to withdraw to cope, but it has nothing to do with him. Prognosis. Excellent. She'll return when the stress resolves, as long as you don't add pressure during her difficult time. So how do you distinguish between these 4 types? Look at the timing. Did her energy shift after an intimate moment or after something stressful happened in her life? Look at the context. Is she only distant over text, or is it consistent everywhere? Look at her overall pattern. Has she been inconsistent from the start, or is this sudden and new? The better you get at reading which type you're dealing with, the better you can respond strategically. And that brings us to exactly how to respond to each type. 5. Strategic Response Framework. Now you can identify which type of energy shift you're dealing with. Here's exactly how to respond to each one. If it's type 1, interest protection, your strategy is to match her pace. Don't chase. Don't pressure her for clarity she doesn't have yet. Stay consistent. Give her space, but remain warm when she does reach out. What to avoid? Over-pursuing, demanding explanations, or expressing neediness. Expected outcome. She returns when she feels safe, often with increased investment because you didn't make her feel validated. If it's type 2, testing dynamics, your strategy is to pass the test by staying grounded. Maintain your frame. Continue living your life. Respond calmly when she reaches out, but don't drop everything. What to avoid? Chasing, jealous reactions, asking what's wrong repeatedly, or over-explaining yourself. Expected outcome. She respects your strength and re-engages with higher attraction. You showed her you don't need her validation to feel okay. If it's type 3, genuine loss of interest, your strategy is complete withdrawal. Accept it gracefully and go silent. Focus on yourself and your own improvement. What to avoid? Trying to convince her, maintaining constant contact, or seeking closure conversations that won't satisfy you anyway. Expected outcome. Small chance she circles back if you become genuinely different or more attractive, but don't count on it. Sometimes the best response is moving forward. If it's type 4, external stress overflow, your strategy is support without burden. Send occasional low-pressure check-ins. Offer specific help if appropriate. Give her genuine space to handle her situation. What to avoid? Taking it personally, adding to her stress with your needs, or demanding attention when she's overwhelmed. Expected outcome. Strong return with gratitude when her stress resolves because you were understanding instead of adding pressure. Here's the universal rule that applies to all 4 types. Maintain your emotional center. Continue living your life. Don't let her energy shift control your energy. Because the moment you panic and change who you are based on her distance, you've already lost the frame. But those are just tactics. Here's the deeper mindset that makes all of this actually work. 6. The mindset that changes everything. You now have the tactic. But here's what separates men who struggle with energy shifts from men who handle them effortlessly. It's not about memorizing responses. It's about embodying a core principle. Women are attracted to men who don't need their validation to stay centered. Energy shifts are inevitable in dating. They happen with every woman at some point. Secure men don't panic when they happen because they understand this is normal female psychology. Insecure men spiral because they think the shift means they did something wrong or that she's rejecting them. Here's the mindset shift you need to make. Stop asking, "What did I do wrong?" Start understanding, this is how women process feelings. When you make that shift, you stop being controlled by her energy changes. You stay grounded regardless of whether she's warm or distant. And that groundedness is what actually makes you more attractive. Think about it. When you understand that her pullback might be self-protection or testing or stress, you don't take it personally. You don't chase. You don't panic. You just continue being who you are. And that consistency becomes the anchor she either trusts or realizes she needs. Your ability to stay calm during her uncertainty shows her you can handle emotional complexity. That's leadership. That's what women respect. Here's the advanced insight. Sometimes she changes her energy specifically to see if you'll change yours. It's a test of your frame. If her distance makes you desperate, she knows you're not solid. But if her distance doesn't shake you, she knows you're grounded. The man who stays unshakable during energy shifts doesn't just keep her interest, he increases it. Because most men fail this test. They chase, they panic, they become needy. But you understand what's happening and you stay centered. That's the difference. Men who master this never lose sleep over a woman's change in energy. They see it for what it is, respond strategically, and stay strong regardless of the outcome. So here's what you need to remember. Energy shifts happen before words. They're triggered by uncertainty about feelings, self-protection, testing, or external stress. She goes through an internal process where she's watching how you respond. And that response determines whether her energy warms back up or continues pulling away. You now have a complete framework. You can identify which type of energy shift you're dealing with. You know how to respond strategically to each type. And most importantly, you understand the mindset that makes you unshakable when her energy changes. Here's the core lesson. She's not trying to confuse you. She's protecting herself while figuring out her feelings. When you understand that, you stop taking it personally. You stay grounded. And that groundedness is exactly what makes you the kind of man women don't want to lose. So the next time you sense an energy shift, and don't panic. Identify which type it is. Respond strategically based on that type. And stay centered regardless of what she does. Because when you understand female psychology at this level, you're no longer guessing. You're leading. Be the man who doesn't get thrown off by subtle shifts. Be the man who understands what's really happening and handles it with strength. Now I want to hear from you. Have you experienced an energy shift recently? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments. I'll be reading and replying because understanding these patterns is how real growth happens. Share this with a brother who needs to understand what's really going on when a woman's energy changes. Hit subscribe for more insights into what women actually think, but rarely say out loud. That's how you handle energy shifts like a leader.